Today, we are going to learn what happens to our brains when we meditate and why there are some problems to meditation and how we can get still those great benefits of meditation without trying so hard, all in the context of a woman over 50. And my guest today, who will explain all of this, is Jim Poole, the president and CEO of Solace Lifesciences, which is a neuroscience company focused on personalized evidence-based wellness and performance. And he is a whiz at explaining how the brain reacts under stress and how to reprogram it into a calm state. Now, personally, I believe that the conventional drug-based therapies for PTSD and stress, anxiety is not for everyone. And there seems to always be a price to pay. And too many doctors tell women who are going through the menopause transition, experiencing stress and anxiety from their hormonal fluctuations, are prescribed depression drugs or told to see a therapist. So we're going to cover some other alternatives to treating anxiety and stress without any of the negative side effects for our ladies out there. So without further ado, let's meet Jim Poole. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Doing great here in Portugal, and excited to find out more about the brain and stress. And I want to know why, first of all, how and why do you know so much about the brain and how it reacts to stress?
First thing is I'm a part of the human race. Experienced it just like everybody on this call has. Secondly, I've been running a neuroscience company for 14 years and have had the opportunity to learn from the brightest and the greatest scientific minds, academicians, doctors on the planet. But probably I've learned more from administering and observing nucalm to humans across the planet, from children to people that are in their 90s, to monks, to punks, to athletes, to wannabe athletes, to kids, to doctors, to lawyers, to pilots. And guess what I've learned? We all suffer the same consequence of being human, and we all suffer stress. Every single one of us.
Yeah, but is stress always a bad thing?
Stress is not always a bad thing. But when we think of stress and the negative consequence of high stress and unmanaged stress is a significant bad thing. And it's something it's always there. We have to pay attention to it, and we find ourselves being complacent or arrogant or dismissive of it. But the negative consequence is 1,000 cuts. You die from 1,000 cuts. You don't die from one cut. You have a bad night's sleep, you don't get disease tomorrow. You have a couple weeks of high stress, you don't get disease when the stress resolves. You get disease over the fact that we're not managing stress, thus we're compromising our sleep, thus we're compromising the body's ability to heal, restore, and recover. And over time, epigenetics and a lot of other variables kind of conspire against us, and they create disease. So if we don't address it, the long-term consequence isn't positive. But the same holds true, Zora, for sunbathing. You're in Portugal. Portugal's got great beaches. You shouldn't really spend a lot of time in the sun. Yes, you need vitamin D, but melanoma is pretty nasty cancer. We shouldn't smoke cigarettes. We shouldn't vape. But when we're 18 or 19 years old, we don't really understand mortality. We certainly don't understand time horizon. We do things and create habits that are detrimental to our health, and in the long term have a negative consequence. Stress is the same way. It is a long-term negative consequence.
Yeah. So it's not the stress itself. I think sometimes it's our reaction to stress and to the reaction to high levels of chronic stress. Can you explain then what is physiologically happening in the brain and the body when someone experiences, say, just mild stress and then the heavy stress, and then what's going on with that chronic stress?
So there's a little almond-shaped piece of our reptilian midbrain. The reptilian brain doesn't sound that higher conscious, does it? Because it's not. This is a 40 million year evolved neuronal circuitry designed to protect us. But it's really a saboteur to our life today. So this little amygdala, let's start with the beginning of the day. You wake up, your cortisol is at the highest level to get you out of deep sleep. Your eyes open, the sun's there, and all of a sudden your amygdala wakes up. And it doesn't tell you, hey, Zora, you're amazing today. You're going to have a great day. People love you. You're going to be filled with endorphins and joy. Today is your day. No, It's looking for the potholes you're going to step in, the fires you're going to have to put out. There's a negative consequence to how our brain operates because we're looking for risk mitigation. That is the amygdala. Think about it. Think about the size of your body. Think about the trillion cells that are in your body, and think about this little almond-shaped piece of our midbrain that's basically dominating our entire behavioral pattern. It's insanity. The central nervous system is designed to protect us. It has to find familiarity and security in every area of our life so that it can take a breath and relax. When it doesn't, when we travel to a new place, have a new experience, it activates all of our senses because it's looking for threats, because its number one job is self-preservation. Well, when the central nervous system deems or perceives a threat, it activates that amygdala, because the amygdala is the fight or flight response: fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. It's the protective mechanism of that aspect. So the central nervous system does something. It says, this doesn't feel safe. It activates the amygdala, and off we go. The amygdala communicates to something called the HPA axis and immediately elicits adrenaline. It brings all of our resources from our extremities to our visceral organs. But really, here's what's really important for everybody to understand. When we are in a stress response, the blood flow from our prefrontal and frontal cortex, this area of our brain, is our personality, our patience, our present in the moment, our executive functioning, our emotional stability, our decision-making, our problem solving. This is what separates us from primates. This area loses blood flow because the autonomic nervous system and the reptilian brain, the midbrain, consumes all the resources, says, hey, we don't need you to be thinking clearly right now. We need to protect ourselves. So I think one of the biggest understandings that we lack, and that is we judge people for the behavior associated with the stress response. And that's not fair, because this is about 40 million years of circuitry so advanced, it knows how to protect us. And the rest, the behavior, the anger, the dismissiveness, the agitation, the impatience, is collateral damage, because the central nervous system says, hey, we got to protect ourselves. Sorry. So stress affects us psychologically, affects us emotionally, affects us physically, and then compromises our sleep. That's what happens in every human being. And I think something else that's important to know: every human being has the same physiological process. It's not like, hey, an athlete has a different stress modulation than a housewife, and a housewife has a different stress modulation than a kid. It's all the same. We're all the same. The mechanisms of action are all the same. The difference is the magnitude of the stress, and the real difference is, how do we interpret the stress response?
Yes, I totally agree. It's that response that is super important. And it sounds like there's a U curve, right? Or a sweet spot when it comes to stress, because like you said, as I understand, when we're in a stress state, like if we're about to get hit by a car, or something happens, we lost our kid, we have the immediate blood flow, this rush of adrenaline and cortisol, and to try to find our kid or run out of the way from the car that's about to hit us. And then we have as I understand, our pupils dilate, right? So that we can focus and we can get really have an objective to get out, to get the job done, whatever needs to be done. So it's, there are a lot of benefits. Actually, it's a reason we have this stress response. And so I guess it's not all bad, but the problem happens when it's too long, too high, and it's just this chronic situation, because I guess you can only be in this fight or flight situation for so long. And even though we're not getting hit by a car, we don't see that. It seems as though we're all having this same response. And that's why we're getting sick, and these diseases and inflammation and anxiety and all this stuff. So I think the idea is to find that Goldilocks zone, because if you're just sitting around doing nothing, I guess, and if I didn't have deadlines, I probably would never get anything done. So I need that little bit of stress to get stuff done. So I want you to explain then the little bit, because about meditation. Okay, let's hit meditation, because everybody's talking about meditation and how good that is for you. And I've been meditating almost every day for like 3 years. And I started because I heard about all these amazing benefits. So what are some of these benefits that we get when the brain is in this calm meditative state?
Meditation is amazing. The challenge is it's difficult. The challenge is it's intangible. The challenge is there isn't a black and white recipe to what I'm supposed to think, feel, and do. Meditation and the physiological benefit derived from meditation is a little obfuscated. People don't understand why you do it. It's simply to downregulate the frequency of your brainwave. That's what you're trying to accomplish. In addition, you're trying to oxygenate your prefrontal cortex. You call it feed your forehead. This is this is our consciousness right here. This is who we are. This defines who we are, who you are, who everyone on this call is. So the act of meditation is a process that requires discipline and persistence and time and energy and effort. And it's easy to get demoralized or confused because you're on a path. You don't even know what the path is. You don't know what the outcome's supposed to be. And then quickly we're sabotaged by feeling shameful or guilty that we can't meditate. It's a really challenging aspect of life. Now, there are other aspects of mindfulness that are easier and more tangible. Yoga is easier and more tangible. Tai Chi is easier and more tangible. Deep breathing exercises are easier and more tangible. They all play in the realm of the optimal benefit of all mindful practices is to down-regulate and slow down your brainwave. If you can do that, you can get into a place where you actually have oxygen-rich red blood cells flowing through your prefrontal cortex. So why hasn't anyone shared this with us? Why hasn't we been told that, hey, caffeine increases your frequency of your brainwave. Stress increases the frequency of your brainwave. In fact, the frequency of the stress response is anywhere from 20 to 38 hertz, a very fast frequency. And to get out of that, first of all, you can't talk yourself out of it. Secondly, when you're in a high stress response, you can't meditate. It's not physiologically possible. It doesn't exist because it's resource allocation. When the resources in my brain are activated in that reptilian brain, there's no resources available to my thinking brain. So we shame ourselves, or we shame people like, hey, you can't meditate. Or most people are never going to be able to meditate because their foot has been on the accelerator for too long. There's too much of a narrative. There's too much of a self-absorbed to-do list. There's too much of a, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. They can't even sit and try to close their eyes and begin a mindful practice. But the benefit of all mindfulness is to down-regulate and slow down your brainwave function into alpha, because in alpha, it's synonymous at 12 hertz to 8 hertz with creativity, being in the zone, being relaxed. That's where you're trying to get to.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, absolutely. I think it's, if anyone's tried meditating when they're highly stressed, it is so hard. And then we go, oh, well, meditate when I got more time, or when, but in fact, what I've learned is everyone should be meditating every day for 15 minutes. And those people who have no time, they need to do 1 hour. Have you heard about that? It's true. And it's really, really hard. And that's my big beef with meditation. I love the benefits of meditation. It lowers your heart rate, increases your heart rate variability. It gets more blood flow. It makes you feel calm. It brings more creativity. And you explain the alpha wave of the brain. And it's just amazing. So why wouldn't we want to do it? And the reason is because it's hard. And I became a breathwork instructor, and I find breathing techniques help a ton. It's like you said, because I'm more focused on something a bit more tangible, but it's still work. And then if I try to get my clients to practice meditation, especially the ones that are sick in a hospital with a crisis, and I have somebody there right now, it's like, it's futile. I mean, their brain is just running on overdrive. So are there any other, the problem that you mentioned actually that I thought was interesting that you said about meditation was that people shame you. I didn't think about that one, and they think that they're so much better, I guess, because they do it and you don't. But I think that's really relevant.
Humans are hyper competitive, hyper comparative, and hyper judgmental. It's a low level of thinking, and it's all amygdala and fear driven, because we are our own worst enemy. We often have our own self-sabotage network, which I aptly call the itty bitty shitty committee. We all have it. So there's 7.6 billion people. and there are 7.6 billion itty bitty shitty committees. There's a lot of energy, a lot of burnt calories in our brain. I mean, it is fascinating. We will always find reasons to judge. We will always find reasons to compare because we're trying to figure this out as we go along. But as we all know, at some level of self-actualization and realization, it's about you. And when you reach a level of confidence and understanding, hey, here's what I'm good at, here's what I'm not good at, here's what I accept, here's what I don't accept. If you reach acceptance, the judgment kind of goes away. I can't meditate. I did martial arts for a long time. Meditation is part of martial arts. I was probably held the world record for the worst meditator on earth. I just was terrible at it. I would literally have a panic attack as soon as I tried to meditate. All my problems would be whirling around in my head. I was like, there's nothing relaxing here. And I'm not going to meditate. I'm a 53-year-old father of 3, and I run a global neuroscience company. I'm not going to spend the time to try to figure it out. I won't do it. I've accepted that about myself. I'm 6 feet, 220 pounds. I've got a big upper body and chicken legs. I'm not going to put yoga pants on and go to a yoga studio. I'm not going to do that either. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck. If it weren't for nucalm, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I would love to see how many people here are on this call. Like, raise a hand if you felt like that too, because absolutely, I think there's it's that shame. I think a lot of people don't admit it. It is super hard, and there are people who just won't do it, and it's got to be okay to say, look, I'm not going to do it. We have to find another way, and there's so many other ways actually. And before we talk about nucalm, let's talk about a couple of other techniques that a woman over 50, let's put her in a context. What can she use to reprogram the brain to get into that parasympathetic state?
The breathing exercise is probably the most effective.
Yay.
Requires the least amount of work, the least amount of you don't have to go anywhere. We have to get oxygen out of the cortisol element of our brain. Think about it simply. So say you have a household and you have chores and you distribute the chores to the kid. Okay, well, you can't give all the chores to one child. It doesn't work that way. In our brain, in this part of our brain, our forehead versus the temporal part of our brain, it's a battle of resources. We have to overcome the itty bitty shitty committee and the resource allocation to that threatened part of our brain. It's really quite pathetic, actually, Zora, how slowly and pedestrian evolution of humankind has been. We have some of the same brain architecture that we had millions of years ago when we were in a threat mode all the time. And it hasn't resolved itself. But technology and the advancements of our safety and security as a human race is incredible. We haven't caught up. So we are living in 2022 with an incredible abundance of opportunity and safety and security, and amazing. But our brains have not evolved to the current state. We live in a constant state of hypervigilance and fear based on the amygdala. And it could be because of the toxins in the air, the media, the fear mongering, the food supply. And it's probably mostly this.
The telephone. Yes.
It's probably mostly that. So I think the breathing exercises and exercise in general is probably your best opportunity to create oxygenation and resource allocation to the proper parts of our brain.
I love hearing that. As a breathwork instructor, I'm really happy to hear that, because I just preaching to so many people, it's a free tool. Let's just use it. And we've lost that ability. So I love hearing that. So anyone, let's take a deep breath or a low breath, actually, and let's get in a calm state right away. And I'm sure you could explain a little bit what's going on, but let's explain nucalm and what it does to the brain and the breath, because I've noticed a change in my breath as well when I'm using nucalm. So what is it?
nucalm is one of the most amazing technologies created by mankind to serve mankind at probably the most poignant time in the history of mankind, because we're suffering with the most stress in the history of our planet. Okay, we are managing brainwave function. And there's a few things that we should understand and we don't, that we should be shared and educated on, but we're not. The body and the brain and the physiological behavior of your body and your brain are all related to certain frequencies. And everything on this earth is vibration and frequency. In fact, the Earth's magnetic rotation, called the Schumann resonance, vibrates at 7.83 hertz. It has a frequency. Not by coincidence.
Oops. Oh, I just have to mute Chuck. Sorry about that. Okay, go ahead.
Not by coincidence, the human body cavity resonates at 7.83 hertz. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Everything on this earth is vibration and has a frequency. The human brain, on a daily basis, oscillates between 0.5 hertz and 41 hertz. Where your brain is commensurate to the behavior that you're exhibiting. When your brain is at 1 hertz, you are in deep, dreamless-like sleep. It's not up for debate. It's simple physics and math. We know. When your brain's at 3 hertz, you're in deep sleep. When your brain is at 6 hertz, you are in theta, otherwise known as the healing zone, and you're in a lucid dream state. When you're in alpha, you're creative, relaxed, and restoring. When you're in beta, the broadest range of human function, 12 hertz to 15 hertz is alert. 15 to 20 is focused. 20 to 25 is stressed, and 25 to 38 is stressed out of your marbles.
Okay? So you want to be under 20.
Want to be under 20. And then there's this really sweet spot, one of those ironies of the human condition, called gamma, which is 39 to 41 hertz, above the stress spectrum, above the most intense fight or flight freaking out, is this little sweet spot that's commensurate with higher consciousness, but also activates our sensory motor rhythm, our gross motor cortex, our peripheral vision, our olfactory, our musculature. It's pretty amazing. So of all of these ranges, Blake Holloway, the brilliant neuroscientist, naturopath, and quantum physicist, was on a mission to get people out of conventional therapy for PTSD because the comorbidity of addiction and the demise into suicidality was not acceptable to him. Now, when we understand the brain function, and we understand the central nervous system's role and the autonomic nervous system's role, the sympathetic and parasympathetic, the autonomic nervous system governs fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. So why would I take a narcotic-based pharmaceutical to suppress my central nervous system? I'm not addressing the problem. I'm masking the symptom. Then conventional therapy dictates, let's engage in cognitive behavioral therapy to a brain that is so frightened, that is such in a state of hypervigilance and always acute. They're not in a place of safety. They're not engaging in any cognitive behavioral therapy. They're engaging in ruminating over the memory pattern from the trauma. Is a big, big mistake, and it doesn't work. The suicide rates are increasing, not decreasing, over years. So Blake was like, how do I create something that's safe and predictable? nucalm gently guides your brainwave from a stress response, a higher frequency, to a lower response. That's all we're doing in theory. The challenge is the complexity of the human brain and the brain's lack of wanting to be managed. Your brain doesn't want to be managed by anything, ever. No supplement, no pharmaceutical, no incision, no therapy, no treatment, no nothing. Your brain is like, listen, we can balance ourselves if you just leave me alone. So nucalm was designed to literally gently guide you with a very strong predictability. It's not up for debate. This is physics and math. You can look at this and say, okay, this is what we're doing. The challenge, Zora, was this. The brain has incredible resistance mechanism called adrenaline. So neurobiofeedback's been around for 80 plus years. Transcranial direct current stimulation has been around for 80 plus years, but neither of them are predictable and efficacious across one person, and certainly not across the population. And it begs the question, why? Well, the body can resist anything. You can take a 114-pound female, put her in a surgical environment, give her general anesthesia. She metabolizes through that in 14 minutes. You're like, how? Adrenaline. And we can't tell who has adrenaline, who metabolizes it faster, who doesn't, who can lift up a car when their loved one is buried under a car, right? We don't know. We don't know who has, sometimes the biggest, strongest guy on earth can be down for 2.5 hours in the same general anesthesia dose of benzodiazepine than a 114-pound female. So the challenge was not just managing the brainwave function. The challenge was interrupting the human's adrenal cortex to make nucalm predictable. So nucalm is currently a 3-component product designed simply to slow your brainwave function down, to do the art and the science of deep monk-like meditation or breath work. Over years and years, it just does it in 20 to 30 minutes. So it's pretty fantastical in that fashion.
So, okay. There's a technology so people can visualize what this is, and it's neuroacoustics, right? So that means when we say nucalm, we're talking about an app that you download on your phone or your tablet, and you stick headphones in your ears, your own, and a mask, which is provided to you, or you can use your own mask. You got to cover your eyes a little bit too. And you're listening to the technology, the neuroacoustics. And at the same time, we have a sticker that's a biofeedback disc. So, and this technology is what you're explaining is what's overriding our fight or flight situation. It's able to help us get into that calm state. So yeah, just want to explain a little bit what that even looks like. So let's then talk about these bioprocessing discs, okay, that you wear on your arm.
I love it. Humans are very predictable, and because it's tangible, people think the disc is doing most of the work. I want people to really
the disc looks like this, just in case, anybody, needs to look. There are these, it looks ridiculous. Sorry. It's a sticker, but it's got some technology that I want you to explain, because this is one of my biggest questions. It's hard to believe sometimes.
Of course it is, but so was a microwave, 40 years ago, when you're like, that's the heat of my food. Okay. We have to present the brain with the amino acid GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid A and B. What are they? They're the primary inhibitory neurotransmitters in our brain chemistry. Anything related to what's called anxiolysis, or anti-anxiety or relaxation in our brain chemistry, is derived by binding to the GABA A receptor site. It makes it really important. Without GABA A, you would not live. That makes it even more important. So when you sip a glass of wine and you've had a tough day and the world seems against you, and that first sip of white wine, the world's problems rolled right off your shoulders. It's like, wow, that's easy. That's GABA A. Benzodiazepines bind to GABA A. Barbiturates bind to GABA A. We are using the body's natural amino acid of GABA A to bind to the GABA A receptor site. So 13 years ago, when we launched a $6,000 class 3 medical device to the medical community, we had 3 large chewable supplements. They contained a high formulation of GABA A and GABA B, in addition to some other nutrients. And they were hard to cross the blood-brain barrier. It was hard to activate the vagus nerve. It was hard for the supplement to work. So we had what's called cranial electrotherapy stimulation, a device that created a low-level microcurrent to what's called electrophoriate the cell wall membrane, lower the lipid layer of the cell and make it more permeable so that the GABA A actually was received by the receptor site. The chewable tablet, as powerful as it was, tended to be a problem because in a surgical environment, people don't like being told what to do. Hold that in your mouth, chew it around, and swallow it after 2 minutes. Well, don't tell me what to do. I'm already stressed out. I'm going to have surgery. So we spent a couple of years creating a formula of a transdermal highly absorbent cream that contained GABA A and GABA B, but we still needed the catalyst. This catalyst, which was a cranial electrotherapy stimulation device invented in St. Petersburg, Russia over 80 years ago, happened to be a highly regulated class 3 medical device. Now, we are a mission-based company. Our goal is to liberate humanity from stress. We can't accomplish our goal when we're selling a complicated $6,000 class 3 FDA-regulated medical device. So 6 years ago, we enlisted our incredible scientists and said, figure this out, man, because this is really frustrating and we're not growing at the pace we want to. We're not helping enough people. So Dr. Holloway had an incredible understanding of electromedicine. This is Nikola Tesla and George Okolsky's work in the 1930s in New York. What he understood was everything in this world has a frequency. If we can figure out the specific frequencies to GABA A, GABA B, L-theanine, casein tryptic hydrolysate, and L-tyrosine, all of these amino acids, we can then figure out a way to deliver the frequency like a tuning fork. So Dr. Holloway worked with a Shenzhen Chinese medicine expert and a German physicist for a couple of years to locate the specific frequency of those amino acids. Once that was done, he built a software. Once that was done, we spent a year titrating it. It's like alchemy. How much of the GABA A do I need? How much of the GABA B? It needs to mimic the formulation of the cream. Now, everything is about frequency. Your computer has a frequency. This lamp has a frequency. That's hard for most people to understand. Certainly, I don't understand it. I have no spatial intelligence. I'm like, what do you mean inanimate objects have frequencies? Everything on this earth has a frequency. So once we figured out the frequency of the nutrients, we could bypass the human body's natural absorption, crossing the blood-brain barrier, metabolizing, processing the liver, all of that pedestrian aspect of bringing a supplement to our brain. We went right with what's called like a tuning fork technology, bioresonance. That disc looks like a simple sticker. Whatever. We're a neuroscience company. We don't hang out and play with Sesame Street sticker books. That disc is a 6-layer multi-wave oscillator invented by the Russian scientist George Okolsky in the 1930s and 40s. That is electromedicine. It holds a biostatic charge. It is literally a standalone semiconductor of energy. The software is imprinted inside a Tesla coil on top of that 6-layer multi-wave oscillator. It comes in an anti-static bag called a Faraday cage. It's inert in that bag. It is completely safe, and you could put it through radiation. You could fly it to Mars. It's fine, and it can last for years upon years. But as soon as you take it out of the bag, it's very vulnerable. Why? Because it has a recipe. It has a signature of frequencies located on it. So it's very vulnerable to EMFs. So if I were to touch the biosignal processing disc to a phone, I will erase the frequencies in the message, okay? So we take it out of the bag, we apply it to our pericardium 6 acupressure point on the left side. Our heart is on the left side inner wrist. Don't have anything on your wrist when you put it on there. As soon as it gets near your Gauss field, which is your electromagnetism, it turns on. It goes from inert to active. That pericardium acupressure point has been used for thousands of years in medicine. Why? Because it has a direct line meridian to the pericardial sac. It picks up autonomic nerve fibers. As soon as you place that on, like a tuning fork, we're presenting your brain with the frequencies of the nutrients designed to interrupt the HPA axis and shut down adrenaline. It is so advanced. It is so complicated and technical. I will share with you a little secret. Several years ago, while we were inventing this, we did a study with the Department of Defense to take this same technology and create a coagulation disc. So in the event that a special operator is hit behind enemy lines and before a parajumper can get to them, they can apply this disc locally to the wound site and coagulate their blood and not bleed out. This stuff is really important. It is a new way to deliver a message to the brain, because biology, trillion plus cells in your body, communicate messages. It's either a chemical message or an electrical message. That's what biology is. So that's what we're doing with the disc. The disc is only involved in nucalm. It is not involved in the other 3 categories. We can rely only on the neuroacoustic software for the other categories, because in nucalm, we're asking to go against inertia of what our brain wants. As soon as daylight hits our brain, cortisol hits, and we begin our to-do list. Your brain doesn't want to take a break. Your brain has too much to do. Do you know how important I am? I don't have 20 minutes. I don't have any time at all. In fact, you're boring me even asking me do I have 30 minutes? So in daylight, we're saying, no, we need to restore. We need to recharge. The body has a natural biorhythm. We should sleep twice. We should sleep at night when melatonin is secreted and the sun goes down, and then we should take a sleep between 2 and 4. Your body's natural biorhythm is built that way. But we, especially in America, Zora, we think, oh, well, we're too important. So we go and get an espresso, or we get a 5-hour energy or a Red Bull. We run right through it. Wrong answer. That's the cumulative negative consequence of not managing our cortisol. So the disc is really important to nucalm because it does 3 things. 1, each time you use it, you have a predictable, fast acting response. Number 2, you have a deep experience. And number 3, you have a long lasting benefit of the experience. If we have to override, and you mentioned this, people that are stressed out, people that are in hospital, people that are diagnosed with terminal illnesses, they cannot relax. There is no sense of calm. There is no peace of mind. There is pure, unadulterated fear of the highest order, and it compromises their sleep, and it compromises their health, and it accelerates their death and depreciates the disease state. It's another irony that's not funny about being human, right? So that disc stops all of that. That disc and the combination of the neuroacoustic software, the eye mask, and the disc created the world's only patented technology, clinically proven, to solve stress, not manage your stress. We solved it. We went right to your midbrain and said, down regulate amygdala, go in the corner. It's the adults talking now.
Oh my, so, okay. The discs, yeah, let me just put on my blue blocking glasses. Speaking of melatonin and cortisol and all that, I get the disc. Okay. But so the way I understand it, this technology has been around for a long time. nucalm, before it was an app that we can all use at home, was some big device, some big machines that people would use in their clinics with their patients, the PTSD patients. And you started with this supplements and a gum and trying to get GABA released and a lot of other neurotransmitters during that experience. So why can't we just listen to the neuroacoustics? Like what was happening that you decided, oh, wow, we need more. The neuroacoustics just isn't enough.
You have to bring a gun to a knife fight to downregulate the sympathetic tone. Our brain is really, really built for survival. And when we're in trauma, our survival mechanism is so peaked, we can't downregulate. It is physiologically impossible for a trauma victim to meditate. It will never work, ever. Because the brain is like, no. I don't trust you, and I don't trust the universe. I will not let you dictate anything to me. I will be on high alert the entirety of the rest of my life, including my sleep cycles. So this was designed to treat trauma. Of the 7 diagnosable anxiety disorders, it's the farthest continuum of the really most challenging aspect of living. So we had to downregulate that aspect, or else we're dealing with, hey, if you feel good today, nucalm is going to be really effective and fast. If you don't feel good today, nucalm is not going to be effective and fast. We needed something in a surgical environment that we could rely on within minutes to downregulate your tone. We've done over 2 million surgical procedures with nucalm, replacing anesthesia. 2 million surgical procedures. That needs to be predictable. The medical team and the patient need to understand, hey, I'm in a great space because I'm a nucalm and I'm in this weird hypnagogic dissociative state of relaxation, despite the fact that I'm being operated on. So we needed predictability, and we weren't going to tolerate that lack of predictability. And that disc or the GABA or however we did it was the way that we made sure this is predictable, fast acting, and deep.
Okay. So before you even had that disc, and there was just the neuroacoustics, you do have some sort of a benefit. I mean, I ran out of stickers myself, and I was, desperate to use nucalm still, and I was using it, and I said, okay, there are some benefits happening here. We have the discs, we have the neuroacoustics, and we have the fact that we're just lying down for 30 minutes or so. Right.
Yes.
So I'm wondering then, what is the percentage of the benefits that we're getting that's just the neuroacoustics, or how much is coming from the disc, and how much is it just that we're just stopped for 30 minutes and took a break?
So when we were doing the patent architecture, we worked with scientists from NASA and Harvard. When you're asking the US patent attorney for the only patent in the world for downregulating stress, you're going to go through the ringer. So we had to take apart the whole catalog of what we were trying to accomplish. So we know with very high level of sensitivity and accuracy exactly what the contributing factors are of the nucalm experience. There's over 80% of efficacy in the method of action through the neuroacoustics. The neuroacoustics are doing most of the work. And you'll find that in focus, ignite, and deep sleep, we don't need anything else because it can do the work. Because in daylight, I want to be focused. It just goes with inertia. At nighttime, I want to go to sleep. It just goes with inertia. nucalm was the opposite. We were kind of saying, hey, we're going to take you on this little journey of recovery. So the neuroacoustic software is predominantly the aspect and the method of action for all of our science platform. The disc and the eye mask, it varies between about 8 and 18% of the efficacy of your experience. And it's all built on this. How stressed are you today? Because if you're really stressed, it's going to take longer to work. Now, you also notice, because you've already been playing around with this and said, okay, I'm going to use this without the disc. Every time you nucalm, there's an accumulation of subtleties. We're training your brain. We're training your brain. Unfortunately, we're training your brain on how to relax. It's pathetic. We should remember how to relax, but we don't anymore. We can't down-regulate ourselves. So every time you do nucalm, we're training your brain on all the methods used historically through evolution on how to relax. So it gets easier and gets more effective and predictable. However, you fly, you're GABA deficient, you're highly acidic in your microbiome, you have some things going on, and you're just like a little agitated. You're not going down into that deep nucalm without that disc. So that's the variable. And what we have found over the human race across the globe is most humans are GABA deficient. Our food supply has not been food for a long time. We're filled with excitatory neurotransmitters and excitatory toxins. And so GABA is a really important element of the body's natural biome and the balance of our biochemistry. So for me, I've been running this company for 14 years. I never do nucalm without the disc. Even if it's 3% of the efficacy, I'm going to take 30 minutes of my life. I'm getting the full throttle. But you will notice a difference in not using the disc. But this is all about neuroacoustic software. Neuroacoustic software doesn't make any sense to people. They think it's music. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me educate you on the brain. Music cannot change the mental state and change the frequency of your brainwave function. It doesn't work that way.
So somebody can't just go to YouTube and start listening to the sound bath or binaural beats or something?
They can. And the first time they do it, it might actually work. And the second time they do it, it might be pretty good. And the third time they do it, it won't work at all. And the fourth time,
exactly what happened to one of my clients. It worked. Yeah, exactly. And then after it stopped working.
The brain is incredible and the brain is complex, but the brain's also a cheap date. It loves visual and audio stimulation. So it'll follow you the first date, and it might even follow you the second date. But there's something in our brain called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system has a really important job. Think about how much sensory overload and stimulation you get from your 5 senses and intuition on a daily basis. Think about this. Think about why you can live in a neighborhood for 26 years and one day you notice a house you didn't even know was there. Because your brain has to filter in all this information. And it has to decide, hey, this is important for Zora to know, or this isn't. Well, the reticular activating system over years has developed an incredible innate ability for pattern recognition and finding shortcuts. That's why there's no such thing as a second first impression. First time we do something, we are exhausting all of our senses. We are peaked. We're paying attention to everything. We're first looking for familiarity and security, and then we're looking for patterns. That's why we become, as humans, creatures of habit, because we need our central nervous system to take a breath and say, hey, you can do this. It's cool. Okay. So this activity and all of this stuff that's happening, music cannot do it. Binaural beat on a 99-cent app can do it once or twice. But once the reticular activating system finds out the pattern, no, thank you. Blake wasn't an audiophile. He didn't say, hey, in 1839, a German scientist discovered binaural beat, which is a way the brain compensates for different information. It's cool. The brain's incredible. It's a compensatory closed loop mechanism. You do something, it figures it out. So binaural beat is you present the left ear with a certain frequency, in the right ear with a different frequency. And when it reaches the caudate nucleus of the midbrain and processes the signal, it says, wait a second, these aren't symmetrical. And instead of just making it work, it subtracts the difference. That's what binaural beat is. It's fascinating and it's cool, but the brain is way too complicated to trick it with a pedestrian, simple beat. It doesn't work that way. Blake understood this. He's a neuroscientist. He's solving a problem. He's not, hey, let's do this audio file. No, it doesn't work that way. So he knew with such level of specificity, and it blows my mind that he figured any of this out. He knew the compensatory mechanism. He knew what to expect. Nucalm is different. Nucalm is patented. Nucalm is clinically proven, and there's nothing else in the world like it. Why is that? Because in our neuroacoustic software, which is millions of dollars of years of research, is over 1 gigabyte of information. Your Rescued 50 track is 1.49 gigabytes. A song's 5 megabytes. You think there's a difference? The difference is this. We use binaural signal processing. We use pitch and frequency mathematical matrices, but we have a nonlinear oscillating algorithm. So Blake knew, I'm going to command your attention, Zora. I'm going to demand that your reticular activating system follow this pattern. Go ahead, try to figure it out. It's a dynamic, constant, nonlinear oscillating algorithm. So you will never build resistance to nucalm. Never. Now, what's interesting to me is I know the matrix. I know the math. We developed a product. I knew calm for 20 minutes before I got on this podcast. I was down for the count. Your brain will never figure it out because it is a trickery and an understanding of the complexity of the brain, and it guides you in a manner. You'll notice this, or when you're doing nucalm, your mind wanders the whole time. That's a manifestation of the physics. It's got nothing to do with your mind wandering. Your mind is is following a pattern. So your mind has all these different ideas. And people are like, wow, this isn't like meditation. No, it's not. I wish we could clear your mind of thoughts. We're not miracle workers. The brain's way too smart for that. What we do is we take you on this journey of a nonlinear oscillating algorithm. And before you know it, we're slowing you down. Before you know it, as you've noticed, your respiration slows down. Before you know it, you're in one breath every 10 seconds, 6 breaths a minute. nucalm is a facilitator to access the body's brilliance. Your body knows how to get into balance if it can turn off the monkey mind. That's the value of meditation. But most people don't have the discipline and persistence and aptitude to learn to meditate. nucalm takes you there through very advanced physics, very advanced mathematics and algorithms and biosignal processing disks. All these things, I say, we bring a tank to a knife fight because we know we're fighting the human brain, and the human brain is very formidable. But we're doing this to elucidate oxygenation of your body. Now, you said, hey, I'm in breath work, and people think it's free. Isn't it funny? Isn't it ironic that humans dismiss what's free? Our heart is free. Our brains are free. Our thinking is free. Our empathy is free. Our love is free. Huh? Oxygen is the body's primary healing element. Without it, you're done. It is the most important aspect of all of our health. When you work out too hard and you're filled with lactic acid and inflammation, it's oxygen. When you are really stressed out, there's no oxygen here. It's oxygen. Oxygen is it. So doing breath work is brilliant in its simplicity because we need oxygen. And if we can get oxygen from here to here, we win. That's why you feel more calm, and the little things that agitated you before you do your breath work no longer agitate you. It's not a miracle. We redistributed oxygen-rich red blood to our forehead.
Yeah, the explanation is spot on. And I think the way the brain works, at least when I'm doing nucalm, I notice that when my brain starts to think about other things, there's a change in the music, or maybe it starts, the volume goes down, and then immediately I'm back listening to some change that's going on. Is that, and I know the music you said is there to mask the actual frequencies, because that would just be a bunch of static or something. It wouldn't be pleasant to listen to. So is that ingrained in the technology to sort of bring the brain back to the present?
Zora, you're making me smile because these are really good questions. Everything we've done has a meticulous design to it. If you become emotionally attached to the melody, your monkey mind comes back and starts dominating your body. So you'll notice, and obviously you have, as soon as you get emotionally attached to a melody, it shifts. It's constant, perpetual motion. There's some repeating melodies. There's some things that really resonate with the human body, but everything is designed to liberate your thought pattern in nucalm to allow you to reach what's called a hypnagogic dissociative state. It's a fancy term for losing time and space, because when we have time and space, we control. We're trying to relinquish this part of our being from controlling the rest of us. That's what mindfulness is. How do I downregulate this monkey mind? nucalm does it with biochemistry and physics in a manner that's so predictable and easy. But you've probably also noticed this. The first 8 to 10 minutes, nothing's really happening, because it can't. We can't just take you into theta. Hey, Zora, we're going to take you into the healing zone. Strap in. Your central nervous system's like, no, you're not doing that at all. So the first 8 to 10 to 12 minutes of each track, we're taking you down, taking you up, taking you down. What we're doing is we're gently asking permission of your central nervous system to take you on a journey. So everything about nucalm is so meticulously designed. We have 52 medical advisors on our advisory board. These are the top academicians in the world, the top statistical biophysicists from Harvard, Fields Medal honors from NASA, the best and the best. For 13 years, collectively, they haven't been able to figure out what we created, because it is so meticulously designed in every aspect. We launched nucalm 1.0, the physics, in 2009. Then we launched nucalm 2.0 in 2016 and nucalm 3.0 last year. And everything we do is better, faster, stronger, because we're continuously improving. You'll notice too, when we launch a new track, it's stronger. The entrainment properties are stronger, because in the neuroscience literature, we've learned more in the last decade than we learned in the prior 1,000 years. That's incredible. So we're in this pioneering world where we're learning, and some things that are really humbling to me. Number one, singing bowls. Personally, I run a neuroscience company. I look at some of those singing bowls. I'm like, what kind of hippie shit is this? Guess what? The resonance of the singing bowl helps with entrainment. The tube and throat singer, the vocal box of the tube and throat singer, helps with entrainment. The tambura instrument, the string instrument out of India, helps with entrainment. So what do? We record these, and subliminally, we add them to the physics platform. That's how we've made better, faster, more impressive tracks over the years. None of this is a miracle. None of this is magic. It just seems that way. But yes, we are constantly trying to evolve with our understanding of the brain, understanding that the brain has its own. What's funny to me is humans think we control. We think sometimes we control others. You don't even control yourself, not even close. Your central nervous system has a memory so profound. It remembers every shame, every humiliation, every failure, everything. That's how it works to sabotage us. We're not in control of anything. Higher consciousness dictates that you liberate yourself from that feeling like you're in control, and acceptance. When you accept, you lose expectation. When you accept, you live in the moment. We talk about presence in the moment without judgment. People don't even know what that means, because they're constantly having 6 or 7 conversations going on behind their eyes because of their monkey mind. Consciousness is acceptance and opening up to the fact that we are not in control. We don't need to be fatalists, but we're not in control. So be aware, step down and down-regulate your fear and your stress and anxiety and worry, and be present in your life. Then things happen for the right reason.
This is why I love nucalm, because it makes it so easy. Like, we get all this stuff from meditation and other things, but it's really hard. And that's the thing. And I'm so glad you mentioned the timing of how you actually bringing the brain down into a meditative state, but gradually. And it is you said about 8 to 10 minutes, because when I do nucalm, especially my first sessions were very different than what I do now. And you lose all sense of time. I had no idea when that happened, but I remember the first part, monkey brain kind of going around. And then suddenly it was like a fishing rod or something bringing my brain back. And that's the moment I start to felt really heavy. Like I just get really heavy, and then it just focusing on the music, or I had no idea of time. And when it ended, I didn't want it to end. I felt like I just wanted to stay in bed for the rest of the day. And I felt tired and really groggy. And this is when I sent you a message like, this is not rebooting, recharging, whatever you're talking about. Like, I don't know what's going on, because I am super tired. And it happened when I was testing it out with my friends and family to see, are we going to do this podcast or not? They had the same thing. So, I know you said to me in an email, explain what was happening, but why don't you explain what was going on there?
Zora, ladies and gentlemen, is exhausted. That's it. She works really hard. She pushes really hard. She runs through walls when she should take a break. Okay. That's why meditation for her for 3 years has been a challenge. When you nucalm and you get up and you're mentally lethargic, it's simply your body saying, hey, we could really use more of that. And you'll notice it may have taken you 3 or 4 times, but then you start regulating. One of the most dramatic experiences that I witnessed was in 2014, working with the Comprehensive Cancer Wellness Program and Dr. Janet Ranicky, who's a gift to humanity and just an amazing woman. She works in the emotional component of cancer and has the belief and understanding that if you don't resolve unresolved conflict, you don't beat cancer. Okay. So stage 4 metastatic brain cancer. Woman does nucalm for 4 hours and 4 minutes. I'd never seen anything like it. And I'd seen a lot of nucalm. And I remember going near her and just kind of, is she respiring? Or is she expiring? I mean, what's going on here? She got up 4 hours and 4 minutes. And I was like, this is unbelievable. This isn't a surgical procedure. This is in a relaxing chair. The next day she comes in and she's almost unrecognizable and she looks incredible and she's glowing. And I'm like, you look amazing. She's like, I slept last night for the first time in probably more than a decade. I feel amazing. The next day, hour and 56 minutes. The next day, 52 minutes. And day 4, 41 minutes of nucalm. Her body was so desirous of getting back into balance and it just fed off of it. That's how quickly it happens. So the first time you nucalm, because you are type A and because you have a lot to do, right? You probably gave yourself 30 minutes thinking that's plenty. That's 1/48 of the day. What do you want from me, Mr. Poole? We wanted more. First time you do it, I have no idea how long it's going to take, but it usually takes more than 30 minutes. The second time you do it, you just still didn't give yourself enough. So you kind of forced your way through it. And by maybe 4th or 5th episode, you were good to go. Anybody who does nucalm and comes out with a mental lethargy is exhausted. Your adrenals are going in the wrong direction. Your hormonal dysregulation is going in the wrong direction. You can't live your life with your foot on the accelerator for so many years or decades and not pay the fiddler. So, a lot of us, end up in this adrenal fatigue factor. What's happening is that we've used up all the gasoline over the course of our life. We've used up all the gasoline. Then your hormones start to manifest and start to transition and create the stress hormones because they need to. Then we're all hormonally dysregulated, especially in pre and perimenopause. There's a cluster and we're all stressed. So we're all have our foot on the accelerator. That's the only element. So when I, in the event, get up and I still feel mentally lethargic, what I do is I just go do a 20-minute recharge. Because in recharge, we didn't want anybody to come up from recharge and feel mentally lethargic. So we added a couple elements of ignite into recharge. Literally said, hey, if you only have 1/72 of the day, this is better than nothing. But when you get up, we want you to have an extra boost in your step. Rescue is the most powerful recovery tool on earth. When you are in rescue, the longer the track, 70 minutes, you're in theta at 4 hertz, literally the floor of the healing zone, the most powerful aspect of recovery, resilience, and healing. You're in there for 56 minutes. So when you look at the length of the track, there's a down ramp and there's a 4-minute up ramp. So you take 8 minutes and 4 minutes, 12 minutes, 70-minute rescue track is 58 minutes of theta. Every minute you're in theta, Your cells are restoring restoring your mitochondria, and they're cleaning their toxins. They're doing their cellular maintenance. This is what increases your longevity, your resilience, lowers your inflammation, allows you to live a good life. So you want to be a nucalm for as much as possible, but that is what happened. You simply were exhausted, and your brain said, "Thank you. Can we have some more?" And you said, "Shut up. We got things to do."
Absolutely. I completely agree. I have a couple, we've now reached the hour, and I know people have questions, and they want to get going. Before we do, I just want to say, yeah, I am glad I was introduced to nucalm, and it's, I'm very honest, when things don't work, I say it. And I said to you, this is not working. The first time I used it was something's going wrong. And the sticker thing, I was like, I don't know. But it works. It really works. And I'm so glad my biohacking besties, they really encouraged me to go look at it and test it out. They said it's a real game changer. And I do believe it is. And I'm a biohacker. I do grounding and meditation. I watch the sunrise and sunset. I'm constantly working. So it was a bit of a surprise that how I responded the first sessions. And yes, it did take 3 to 4 sessions. And I now tell my friends and family and anyone who's using it, this is what's supposed to happen. Don't worry. So I'm glad this came out. It was part of my healing process when I went through COVID. I'm so glad I had it, because it was perfect timing. You're tired and I'm not going out. And so I got to do something. And I really believed that, COVID is acting on the brain, right? We all know that it's affecting. So I thought, okay, this is a little bit, if I can support my brain and my brain health and be in this relaxed state, I'll recover quickly. And I recovered so fast. I mean, it was amazing. So I think nucalm was definitely part of my protocol, and I recommend it to a lot of people as well. So I appreciate that. And that was my own little testimonial, because I do think this stuff works. I still have a ton of questions, but we're going to have to open up the panel to everyone who's here. And if you have a question, hit the little reaction button on the bottom of the screen and raise your hand. And I'll ask you to either unmute, or you can type your question in the chat. Great, Cornelis, you can unmute.
Okay, thank you, Zora, and thank you, Jim, for your explanation. I have the opportunity to use nucalm since several years, but right now I am facing some difficulties of fatigue due to MS, to multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
And I want to share, when I use the rescue application, 30 minutes, because I'm always going on, I really feel the difference in my body, how the fatigue is getting out of the body. So I want to explain. I want to know, what is your explanation of that? Because I really understand. I feel it in my body that something going on, and I'm curious of what is your explanation of that.
Rescue is going to be your best friend. Sorry to hear that you have multiple sclerosis. Stress will catalyze the symptoms, and stress will catalyze the depreciation, and you don't want it. And it's not easy to manage that stress, because it's hard to be diagnosed with an illness, period. The reason that you're feeling recharged and rejuvenated after a 30-minute rescue is really simple. The physics and the way our brain works. Theta is this ethereal brainwave function. It's 7 to 4 hertz. Theta is really the most restorative aspect of our sleep architecture. So what we're doing is we're simply slowing your brainwave down and levitating you just above sleep. You probably notice yourself skipping out of sleep.
Yes.
We're holding you there. When we hold you there, every second your brain is oscillating at 4 hertz. Your cells are removing the toxins in your cells. They're doing their maintenance. And most importantly, the mitochondria, which is the energy source of your cells, is being restored. When you are in rescue, your respiration slows down to 1 breath every 10 seconds, 6 breaths a minute. So your body is getting the most volumetric oxygen absorption humanly possible. That oxygen is what's allowing the removal of lactic acid, lowering inflammation, and bringing a lot of access here to your patients and to your access to love and joy and focus. So when you get up, it feels literally in a 30-minute nucalm rescue that you slept for more than 3 hours. It's all based on math. Yes. So in 2013, Dr. Chung-Kang Pang, the statistical biophysicist at Harvard Medical School, evaluated nucalm and doing a lot of things. We didn't have anything to do with the design. He said, did you guys know that 20 minutes of nucalm is equivalent to 2 hours of restorative sleep? And we said, no. He said, not just sleep, restorative sleep. You're literally taking people to the most healing, most recovery zone of the human brainwave function, and you're holding them there. Because after puberty, our sleep gets diminished and just continues to get worse. And we don't get enough of stage 2 and the theta brainwave function in our sleep architecture. And nucalm says, hey, you're feeling low, your energy's low, let's go nucalm. And we just hold you there. And every minute you're there, you're restoring. So what I'd recommend is Rescue 30 is amazing. Try 40, try 50. And when you're done with nucalm, as you've come to realize, you just kind of pop to. You're like, okay, I'm ready to get up. I wish you could stay in there for 100 minutes, because I know those 100 minutes are going to restore you and give you the most health possible. But your brain doesn't allow it. Your brain's like, listen, I've had enough recovery. Get me out of this. Right? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I'd like to be in there for, if I was in nucalm for 2 hours a day, I'm pretty sure I'd live to be about 148 years old. But my brain says, I can't, get me out. You're agitating me. So that is what's happening. You are getting the most recovery on a cellular basis that is humanly possible. And you're doing it on demand at your discretion. And the more you do it, the more we build your resilience up, the more we build your body's ability to fight the disease and to build your immune strength.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And I'm questioning, what's about the cortisol level at that time?
Your cortisol level will absolutely be diminished significantly. Cortisol is not easy to monitor. So typically they'll look at it in the morning, and it's when you have your highest level of cortisol. But we work with 54 professional sports teams, and they manage and monitor everything. So we can see a dramatic decrease in cortisol during nucalm, commensurate with lowering the stress response. That first 5 to 10 minutes of nucalm, we're taking your sympathetic tone, your stress response, cortisol being the stress hormone, and we're just putting it on the floor while we raise the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. That's why many of you, if you nucalm, you realize when you get up from nucalm, you have to pee, because we accelerated your rest and digest.
Okay, I will see what's going to happen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Yeah. Wow. She's been using it for quite a while. So there's one question here, actually, because we're talking about energizing, reboot, and recharge and all that. And we have a question here about, can nucalm be used to help you get into sleep?
Well, nucalm can, but we launched Deep Sleep in November of 2021. Deep Sleep takes the fundamental method of building the neuroacoustic software, which again is over a gigabyte of physics, mathematics, and algorithms. And we built a deep sleep neuroacoustic software track. We didn't want people to have to sleep with headphones. When you're building neuroscience products, you can have the most incredible solution, but if humans don't adopt it, who cares? So we launched, after 6 years of research, Deep Sleep. It's an isochronic waveform, meaning we can present your brain with a pattern, not using headphones. So you would listen to Deep Sleep in your bedroom at bedtime, and it literally paces you down to 0.5 hertz. Now, the onset of sleep can be managed by anything like an Oura ring or whatever. You can see your sleep latency. You can see an improvement in your deep sleep. What I've noticed personally and anecdotally is when I get up to pee, I am 53 years old. So some days I get to get up 4 times in the night if I'm drinking too much water before bed. When I get up to pee, I don't lie in my bed anymore and perseverate over stupid shit I can't solve at 2:36 in the morning. I fall right back to sleep. So the combination of nucalm, which helps with sleep quality, it helps improve your REM, and it helps your body prepare for sleep. As the sun goes down and you start secreting melatonin, your body needs GABA, melatonin, and serotonin. When you nucalm, we're super saturating your brain with GABA. There's plenty left over. So when your brain's preparing for sleep at night, it goes to find GABA. Hey, there's a lot there because I nucalm today. Secondarily, you cannot go to sleep agitated. You have an argument with your kids or your spouse. You can't go to sleep. You know this and I know this. You lie there and you're like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr." You have to downregulate your stress to fall into sleep. When you nucalm, we literally pull the plug on all your stress. So say, for example, you're lying in a tub and all the water is all your stress, your fear, your anxiety, your depression, your worry. And you pull the plug and it just goes down the drain. That's what nucalm is doing to your stress response. So when you are preparing for bed and you've nucalm that day, the onset and the depth of your sleep is dramatically improved. You augment that with deep sleep neuroacoustic software to put you to sleep. And the combination, it's really quite alarming. I'm 53. I travel about 200 to 300 days a year. I live like a carny and it's not healthy. But my sleep is anywhere between 53 and 65 to 66% deep sleep and REM every night. Even though I don't get a lot of hours of sleep, the concentration of my sleep is incredible, like a child's. This is based on physics, has nothing to do with me. I don't do the right things in my life, and I travel too much and I do too much. But yes, deep sleep would be the answer for the onset of sleep.
Great. Yes, that is a great track too. But I'm wondering, so that one you don't need the processing disk for, and that one you use at night, right? So the nucalm, reboot, recharge, restore, we do this in the daytime, and you always recommend don't do it too close to bedtime.
Yes.
Yeah, is that correct? We have Samantha has a question here. Do you want to unmute? Oops. Wait, hold on. I just unmute again.
Hi. Thank you, Jim and Zora. It was fascinating. You're honestly a great speaker, Jim. So I was like, wow, because it's interesting to learn how the brain is so like almost rigid, wants to stay safe and, you know, repeating the same patterns. I have a question because I've been using nucalm, but without the disc. And I'm a TV writer and I'm used to nap. I nap, I do meditation. And every time I use nucalm, around 7 to 8 minutes, I'm starting to be super creative. Like right now, I'm writing something with terminology. So instead of laying down, relaxing and thinking, oh, the murder did this. Oh, because of this and that. So I start like having all these scripts in my head instead of like just relaxing. And so that doesn't really work for meditation. It works for my work. Is that normal or is it just
Yes,
like?
yes, it is. Yes, it is. So the creative zone is actually alpha, 12 hertz to 8 hertz, but the Earth's magnetic rotation is 7.83 hertz. And the body's cavity oscillates at 7.83 hertz. The creative zone for great specificity is 7.83 hertz. On your journey into nucalm, you're in 7.83 hertz. So there's a lot of people that find creativity in their nucalm experience, and a lot of people that journal as soon as they get out of nucalm.
Right.
What I find is a lot of times I'm creative, or a lot of times I'm solving a problem, but when I get out, I forget what the problem was that I solved. I know it's in there. I know it's in my soul somewhere, but it's not readily available. It's that hypnagogic dissociative state. It's basically REM sleep. So when you're going into nucalm, we're putting you into that state of great creativity. If you were to use reboot
Yes.
while you're working,
I do.
headphones,
it's amazing.
That's it. You're literally oscillating at 7.83 hertz the entirety of the track. We're putting you in the human creative zone while you're working. No disc, no eye mask, because we can't, if you have a disc and eye mask, we can take you lower. We can take you into that state where you're like, oh, you're almost not conscious. But in reboot, just with the headphones, you are in an incredible space to liberate your creativity, because it's your amygdala that's sabotaging your ability to write when you have a deadline, or makes you procrastinate, or creates this narrative of distraction. hey, did I unload the dishwasher? Hey, I need to go check the mailman. No, you don't need to do any of that. It's your amygdala sabotaging you. So if you can stay in 7.83 hertz for hours at a time working, it's brilliant. And yes, you will have tremendous creativity.
Okay, because I've been doing this, but I was feeling like a little bit like uncomfortable, like I'm not wearing the mask. And because then when I was laying down, like every second I had to flip the mask and write down my thoughts before it disappeared. So by doing the reboot and working while, I mean, listening to it while, oh wow, okay, so you solved the big.
I do that on the plane. I travel a lot and I'm on the plane a lot. And, half the time I like to work. So I'll put reboot on, nothing else. It's amazing too, because you lose sense of time.
Yeah.
A 5-hour flight. I'm like, we're there already. I'm just getting in the groove. So yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
We have another question here. What does it mean practicing nucalm for 20 minutes is equal to 2 hours of restorative sleep?
Okay. So say you sleep 5 hours a night and your body's natural biorhythm really needs 8, but life, stress, responsibility, travel, daylight, bed, partner, whatever, you don't get that sleep. The 20 minutes is a concentrated version of levitating your brainwave in the most restorative part of our sleep architecture. People will say, hey, shouldn't I just take a nap? No, don't take a nap. When you wake up from a nap, typically you're groggy and you don't have good energy in your forehead. Why? Because you slipped into delta. Delta does not give you the restorative nature on a cellular basis. Delta is allowing your body to restore, not your mind. Theta is the healing zone for humanity. Theta, 7 hertz to 4 hertz. When you are in theta, your cells are rejuvenating, they're restoring, the mitochondria is restored, your toxins are being cleaned. So if we can host you there and just hold you there for 20 minutes, the benefit is the equivalent of 2 hours of restorative sleep. That's what it means. So for me personally, nucalm has been an augmentation for my sleep debt for most of my 14 years. You can't make up sleep debt. The brain doesn't allow it. Your body cannot make up for sleep debt. You slept poorly last night, you're not making it up. But biochemistry and physics can. The cautionary tale here is don't use this as a tool to augment or replace sleep. Don't sleep less because you have a tool that can augment and fill in the gaps. That's not how this works. Sleep is the most important element of your survival. Without it, you're dead. And when you sleep, you're actually restoring and healing and growing and evolving. When you don't sleep, you're breaking down. We all know this. You sleep poorly and you have a big day ahead. You wake up and you're just like, I can't wait to get back into bed, but I've got a huge obstacle in front of me and I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to participate in my life today. Because fatigue makes cowards of all humans. That's how life is. That's why in torture in the military, what do? Sleep deprivation. Why? Because you're like, listen, I need to sleep. So that's how it all comes to be. 20 minutes is equivalent to 2 hours of restorative sleep. And Zora brings up a great point. We caution people not to use nucalm after 7 o'clock at night, because in the event that you do, you'd never take a 4 or 5 hour power nap before bed. You won't sleep. You'll be so enthusiastic. You'll have so much positive energy. You'll be like, let's go. But you'll be alone because it's in the middle of the night. So after 7 o'clock, don't use nucalm unless you want to work through the night and have great efficiency and then be tired in the morning.
So the idea is to use it during the day so that you can fall asleep and have a great deep sleep later on. So you would use, to clarify too for Magdalena, is that you want to use this the nucalm, the 20-minute restorative sleep, because you had a bad night's sleep. So if you slept well, there's probably no point in doing, that power nap is not necessary. So it's more for other things. Another question from Lillian.
Hi, thank you so much. I've been using nucalm since June, and I've started meditating in May. So I've seen a huge improvement in my meditations by using nucalm. So I was hoping you could share, Jim, the knowledge you have about what combining those two things can do, and what kind of what's happening in the brain, or what is happening when I'm listening to two things at once.
Okay, so are you using meditation? Are you using like a vocal meditation while you're doing nucalm? Oh,
Yes, that's
brilliant. Okay, that's someone who wants an impact. Congratulations. All right. From monks to punks. 8 years ago, we started working with monks. Why? I didn't invent nucalm, and I love data. And you have a product and you're seeing all these things, and I've seen all these clinical procedures, and I was like, who can't we help on this earth? Monks. So I went out to LA. I met with monks and introduced them to nucalm, and I flew back out 10 days later, fully expecting them to say thank you, but no thank you. I said, so how do you guys like nucalm? And the response was, we love it. I was like, what? Humans are humans. I don't know if any of you guys saw this Dr. Sanjay Gupta interview with the Dalai Lama. And there was a time in the interview when he says, so how easy is meditation for you? And the Dalai Lama looks at him and says, it's not easy at all. And they pan to Sanjay's face and he's so demoralized. And the Dalai Lama simply says, hey, I'm human. So meditation requires a checklist and to down regulate and to clean things. nucalm just guides you right to this state. So when you are listening to words while listening to nucalm, you're doing yourself an incredible favor. Why is that? All learning is state dependent. When we are in a stressful state, you cannot learn. It is impossible. You can cram to forget, but you can't learn to remember. It doesn't work that way. So all learning is state dependent. We know this. When we're mentally lethargic, it's the end of the day, we had a big meal, and there's blood flow in our stomach and not in our brain. You're not learning anything. You could read the same text 10 times in a row. You're like, I'm not consolidating anything to memory. When you put your brain with reboot or with nucalm rescue into this state of alpha and theta, you're opening up the permeability and the neuroplasticity of your brain to absorb the words into your soul. This is incredible. You are imprinting these words to actually make a behavioral change. Words are incredible, but words without processing information are useless. You can go to a lecture, you can go see somebody and be amazingly inspired for 2 or 3 days and be filled with endorphins and all this inspiration to change your life. And then you go home and your life gets you again. It says, no, all that stuff you're going to forget in 2 weeks. And there might be a couple little snippets. The reason is all learning is state dependent, and we need to be persistent in all of our habits. Okay. When you listen to reboot, rescue, or recharge, you're putting your brain in the most permeable state to receive information, to process information with great clarity, comprehension, and concentration. You improve memory consolidation, and the word choices are really important because they will penetrate your central nervous system, your amygdala, and go right into your soul. That's what's happening. Okay. So you're literally changing your behavior and taking words from just being words to words being behavioral modification and imprinting them on you. So yes, kudos to you, because it's an amazing recipe. We have a lot of professional athletes and a lot of social, a lot of the military special forces operators who have done the same thing. So they have bone conduction headphones, they play the physics, and then they're listening to something, and it literally is, hey, I'm consolidating this to memory, and I'm going to make a difference inside here, as opposed to just words going in and going out and grabbing 1 or 2 that I like.
Yeah, exactly right. And actually the app works with another app at the same time, and you can listen to both in the same headset. Yes. So that works really well. Yes. I think a lot of people that have a lot of health conditions are getting a lot of benefit. My pain levels have gone like 50% down just by doing things at the same time.
Yes. Everything is stress modulated. So stress is this nefarious little underpinning of all of our lives, but because we can't see it, touch it, feel it, smell it, and taste it, we're not really sure it's there. But when you're stressed, any disease state is catalyzed and the symptomology is increased. You lower stress, everything's better. Everything.
I can't thank you enough. Really, it's made a huge difference in my life. I wish some of the meditations were longer. I would do them for 4 or 5 hours without break, for sure.
I listen to focus for like 6 to 8 hours a day. If there was a way to become addicted to our technology, I'm well past that. So I've been using it. I do have some good news on the horizon. We've collaborated with Jim Quick. Jim Quick's a brilliant human being and really a promulgator of incredible information that's really been told since Marcus Aurelius, thousands of years. We've been talking about the same stuff. You are what you think you are. Make the most important things the most important things. Focus. But again, it's free information and we dismiss it, right? Because we didn't pay a lot of money for it. We're collaborating with Jim to create focus tracks, 15 to 20 hertz, create neuroplasticity in your brain. And then his limitless methods, limitless mindset, limitless motivation, we recorded in January in Utah. And we're launching the Quick State powered by nucalm next month. It's exactly what you're talking about, except everything is so meticulously designed, the emotional component, the music, the word choices, everything. So we're bringing to the world true behavioral modification, not just music. But yes, so you've already done it yourself. We'll add to it.
Thank you so much.
That is such a great stack. I thought, Jim, you were going to say, no, don't mix apples and oranges. And evidently you have a better effect. Can I ask you, Elaine, what was the name of this until, Jim releases this new technology? What are you using in how to connect nucalm and your meditation in the same headphones?
I'm listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I just use like an app, Musical.ly, or I can actually go on YouTube and listen to YouTube and listen to nucalm at the same time.
So in one headphone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you don't need new technology for that. Nucalm allows you to do that
through the phone.
Okay. Yep. So okay, I have to try that. Great tip. I'm so excited. We have a couple of questions here, Jim. Maybe somebody's asking about if you have any research related to MS, autoimmune disease, and cancer and nucalm.
So all of our research is founded on HRV, respiratory sinus arrhythmia, galvanic skin response, EEG, QEEG. We play in the sandbox of stress management and managing the autonomic nervous system, okay? We're never going to do specific disease states. However, we have done a lot of work for 8 years with cancer. Every disease state known to mankind is created by stress, first and foremost. Secondly, the symptoms are exacerbated by stress. So where we play in the whole realm of health and wellness and well-being is we manage your stress. So MS, absolutely. We did an interview with a radio disc jockey out of Chicago who had 11 million followers, got MS, and then just had to retire. And I asked him, I said, so before you had MS, how'd you deal with stress? He said, I just fake it till I make it. Now, what do you do? He said, now when I'm stressed, Jim, my left arm won't work. I was like, huh? Well, nucalm gave him his life back because he wasn't managing the stress aspect. So it doesn't mean if it's Parkinson's, it doesn't matter. Parkinson's, PTSD, addictive disease, cancer. Cancer feeds off stress and sugar. So when you can stop the stress response, the quality of your life is dramatically improved and the depreciation of your body and your mind and your soul from the disease is slowed down.
I think she meant, I'm not sure if there's any studies that you've done with nucalm and people with MS or cancer or anything. No,
We've done research on stage 4 cancer and the Chicago Blackhawks to show the impact nucalm had on 2 disparate populations. And you can see the dramatic impact of lowering the stress within 5 minutes and raising the rest and digest. That was part of the whole stuff we did 9 years ago. We did a study with statistical biophysicists with 100 patients that were hospitalized for anxiety and 100 patients that were hospitalized with depression. Same outcome, raising the parasympathetic. So if you think about what we do, we will always stay focused on showcasing on a quantified, irrefutable, evidence-based research that we're raising the body's natural healing mechanism, which is your parasympathetic nervous system. We have a research study in play with the United States Air Force Special Operations Command around pilot fatigue. We have a research in play with PTSD, comorbid with addiction. But for the most part, we've been at this for 32 years. We've done so much research. Now it's about lowering the price, making it easier to use, and getting humans to use it.
Thank you. Question from Cedra. Do you want to unmute?
Hi, thanks so much. And thanks for doing this. Quick question. So I love nucalm, saved me, but I have not had as much success with the sleep part. Do you have like any tips? Maybe I'm not doing something right.
Yes, I do. All right. So how did you pronounce your name?
It's Sidra.
Sidra. It's a great question. However you developed compromised sleep took time. It's going to take us a while to get our grip on you. Definitely don't listen to deep sleep with a mobile phone.
Right.
There is over 2 gigabytes of mathematics coming out of that. So speaker by your bed every night. It's just going to take time. Once we get you, once we train you, we got you forever. It just takes a while. Sleep is so complicated. First of all, the study of sleep is only about 31 years old. Does that make any sense? How the scientific community hadn't thought about studying sleep doesn't make sense to me. But it's so complicated. There's neurophysiology, there's biochemistry, there's whole reasons for it, okay? nucalm is going to help prepare you for sleep. nucalm is going to help you dream again. nucalm is going to help your REM. nucalm is going to help manage when you don't get a good night's sleep. The combination is going to be very powerful. It just takes time. Sleep is a little funny because sometimes you may fall asleep, but you don't even know it because you're in that weird lucid state. I know only because of my Oura ring. In the event that you'd like to accelerate the impact deep sleep has on your onset of sleep, feel free to definitely use a biosignal processing disc because we can always supersaturate more GABA to your brain chemistry, and you can't overdo GABA. Your body simply excretes what it doesn't need, but it's your body's natural amino acid. So chances are you have a serotonin dopamine imbalance. Chances are you may have some issues creating melatonin. Melatonin is tricky. There are a lot of natural elements you can take for melatonin, but you have to titrate it well, or else you wake up with great lethargy. I'm sure you're familiar with that. You wake up, you're like, I feel drugged. It's melatonin. So feel free to use the disc. And if you're really like, okay, listen, I know this is going to get there. I just got to get there faster. Put a headphone on. If you can listen with a headphone to deep sleep, it'll put you down too. So it's just a matter of time. Everything we've ever built is about entrainment. It's like a tuning fork, and it's just going to take us a while to get to you. But we're there. We're here to help you. You can't be harmed. It's just time. But every time you're doing it, we're still helping. Even if it's this much, we're still helping.
Okay. Because I was doing a speaker, and I think it was just because the nucalm worked so quickly. Like it was just right away. And so when the sleep didn't, I just thought like there was something wrong, but I'll sign up again for the sleep part.
There's nothing wrong. It just takes time, and sleep is more complicated.
And so I should just do the sleep every night.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Every night.
And you can leave it on all night too, right? You can
all night, leave it on all night, 8 hours. And in the event that you don't get the accelerated healing that you want, absolutely use the disc and maybe even the headphone. When you wake up, so say, insomnia and sleep issues are really problematic because it creates cortisol and frustration, and it goes in the wrong direction, right? You actually create this anticipatory anxiety as we're heading towards bed because you're like, oh, I'm not gonna sleep tonight. In the event that deep sleep doesn't get to you tonight, tomorrow morning, feel free to use a rescue track first thing in the morning. That augments the sleep you didn't get and allows you just to perform at a very high level despite the lack of quality of sleep. So there's ways for us to, yeah.
So do it when I wake up instead of waiting until right now I do it at noon. So when I don't sleep well, just go on and fix it like soon as I get up.
Yes.
Okay. And
if I wake up and I'm like, how some days you just wake up and you're like, oh, today's going to suck. I don't tolerate that. I'll immediately get back in my bed and nucalm. And then I'm like, okay, let's go. If I don't sleep well, I am absolutely nucalming first thing in the morning. I'd like to wait till noon or 1 because that's when the best nucalm experience is going to happen. But if I didn't sleep, man, I don't want to spend the first 5-6 hours of my day struggling. I will immediately. So that's what the professional athlete and the special forces operators do. their schedule, playing at night, showering, filled with cortisol, traveling, they're nucalming first thing in the morning to make up for the sleep that they acquired the night before. Then they go about their day. Then they work out. They'll listen to Ignite, Focus, and whatever they do. Then they'll nucalm after they work out in the afternoon to remove the lactic acid. You can nucalm twice in a day. You're not going to hurt yourself.
I
Can I
love
ask-
that. And I've seen such, like, I wear Fitbit, and I was getting almost no REM sleep, almost no deep sleep. And I, just from doing the nucalm, I have seen such an increase. So I am just like so grateful. Thank you so much for this.
Thank
Cedric,
you.
can I ask you what time it's there is where you're at right now?
12:30.
In the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So one thing I would recommend, I'm not sure what the lighting that you have is very impactful. So you see, I have the blue blocking glasses. That may be, you know, little things like that you can do to take the glasses, because the lighting that you have, it looks like we're going to do a great podcast actually on light and how it affects your sleep and depression, anxiety and stuff. So I'll send you some information on that, but there's lots of things you can do to support your nucalm experience as well. You don't want to do, you know, sort of all the quote unquote wrong things to be, you know, increase your cortisol at night and then expect miracles from nucalm. So
No,
I'll
I
send
would
some of that.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
Here are
one
my
more last.
glasses too.
Oh, you
Blue
good?
light blocking.
Exactly. Well, here it's night, so I got to put mine on. One last question from Tim, and then we got to go.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. As I listen to these, I get more and more understanding. I'm kind of interested in evolution, and I understand the prefrontal cortex is where evolution is taking place. On the back end, you got this reptilian brain. And as I looked at, I do a lot of meditation, as I looked at the history of meditation, all the way from Buddha on up, he said people suffer, and they suffer because of 3 poisons. The first poison is attachment. I got to have this. The second poison is aversion. I got to get away from that. That's dangerous. It's bad. I hate it, or something. And the third poison is illusion. You think you're those thoughts. So what I'm coming to believe, and then they put that on a human being as being a failure, some sort of bad karma from past lives and all of that. That's why you're stuck in this samsaric circle. Well, they didn't have any kind of neural science back in those days, right? And what I'm coming to believe is that it's because of the fight or flight reptilian brain that everybody's stuck in these 3 poisons. And as we can move out of that with the help of modulating our brains, the evolution in the frontal cortex will take place quicker, and then the 3 poisons will be suppressed. So that's kind of a conclusion I've come to, and I just wondered what you thought about that.
I absolutely agree. It's nice to see your face, and it's incredibly demoralizing, the pedestrian slow pace of evolution, because of the strong grip of the neuronal circuitry of the reptilian brain that served an incredible purpose. It doesn't serve us well anymore, but it has a grip, and it has a 36 million year head start on our prefrontal cortex. So you're exactly right. If you think of the aversion or the attachment, it's still fear, worry, anxiety, depression. It's still all the same. And the more we can oxygenate the prefrontal cortex, the more we can create new neuronal coherence and create new cognition to old patterns and old ways. It simply provides perspective, because consciousness is perspective. So yeah, I totally agree. This has been a path for me personally for 14 years. I'm nothing like the human I was 14 years ago. Nothing. I'm not agitated. I'm not greedy. I'm not egocentric. I'm not self-absorbed. I'm conscientious, and I'm open, and I don't control. I used to think I controlled everything. I was a private equity Wall Street banker, man. I controlled the world. I didn't control anything. I was being controlled by it, right? So I'm in full agreement. And there is a higher brain order and there's a lower brain order. Today, we're stuck in this lower brain order, and we can see it through the media. We can see it through the fear mongering. We can see it through the excitatory neurotransmitters in our food supply and our toxins in the environment. We're literally conspired against us to get out of that lower ordered brain.
Thank you so much. These have been so great questions. Absolutely. I'm going to have to let you go now, Jim. It's been already an hour and a half. I want to let people know that to find out more about nucalm, you got such great information on the nucalm website, nucalm.com. And you got great tips on nucalm in Instagram and Facebook. I'll have all the links to that. We can use a discount code. You gave ZB10-off, or 10% off your first month or your first order. And there was a question here people should know as well, that you have a subscription model. So you can pay monthly for $49.99 a month, or you can pay annually for $4.99. And that's for the nucalm basic. And then the premium, you have $129.99 per month. And then you have $12.99. So it goes up, but you get a lot more. But the thing is that some people noticed already that you do not have a monthly subscription for people who are outside of the US. That's correct, right?
We do not. And it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with customs and shipping and logistics. What was happening when we first launched the subscription model is we're being charged $39 to ship a $49 subscription. And we said, we refuse to do that. That doesn't make any sense. So we're sorry that's the case. We do have international distribution partners in Australia, Singapore, Vietnam, and Mexico. But other than that, the rest of the 197 countries, it is annual or it is mastermind. That may not always be the case, but for now it is, because the disc is an important element to the entire experience of nucalm. And we want to give you the best our neuroscience and 32 years of discovery have created.
And you do have a payment plan, which is good, I think, for some people who have to buy that annual subscription. So that's an option for some of us who are abroad, including Canada as well. So there was one last comment. I should read it because it is really nice. Someone posted here. Thank you so much, Jim, for dedicating yourself to this amazing invention. It has made a huge change in my pain level. I am taking about half the daily pen medication I was taking. Not only does it heal, but I am also able to change my emotions and personality. Thank you. Wonderful. Wow.
That's why we do this. Thank you for sharing.
So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Jim, any last words for our audience of women over 50 before I let you go?
Women are amazing. Women are complicated. Women are the reason us men can live. Yeah, it's really simple. Please take care of yourselves so that you can be there for the ones who need you and love you the most, and they need you all the time. So taking care of yourself doesn't mean you're selfish, but if you don't take care of yourself, stress will take care of you. And then you can't take care of the ones who love you and need you the most. So it's that simple. Please take care of yourself. Stress needs to be the fifth pillar to good health and longevity and wellness. And at some point it will be.
It is already my first with sleep up there. So thank you so much for giving us permission to take care of ourselves. Thank you. That's absolutely, we need to do that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Jim. Have a good day, good night, or good morning, wherever you are.